Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here, Brother Brand Ambassador, and I'm super excited to see you another new week and some other great projects. So let's just say love is in the air. Is that what we should call that? So pop in, say hi. We've got some really cool lace Valentine ideas for you. But before I bring up our special educator, Cathy Gandy, which you all know and love, and I was reading some of your comments from the last session she was on. There was so much information. So if you still have questions about all that batting, you could drop them here because we are live today. So say hi, say where you're from here. And a quick reminder, if you have picked up your Aveneer and you're in the USA, register your machine on Brother's site and you will receive an access code to the masterclass. I just dropped a really super cute Valentine project there using my design center. So, and I received quite a few emails from all of our international friends. Stay tuned. There's something exciting happening for you in about a month. All right, so let's bring up Cathy Gandy. It's so nice to see you all, and wait to see what she's got on her table today. Hey, Cathy, how are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm so excited for your projects. I see a beautiful Aveneer behind you. I see some beautiful projects, and you know, your last session, people absolutely loved. Before we get into the Valentines, there was one big question. I think Patty asked it, Amanda asked it, and I think Terry Moffat asked it as well. When you're quilting, like you showed in the last live, when you're quilting for garments, do you sew all the same direction from one side to the other, or do you go back and forth? That was the big question.
Oh. Well, if you're using, if you're using I go back and forth sometimes. I go whichever way is comfortable. when I'm quilting. Are you talking about the straight line quilting?
Yeah, the ones where you had the real nice batting in there with the 2 layers.
Yeah. Well, going the same direction is probably the best, well, back and forth. But when you're using the digital dual feed foot, you really don't have to worry about it that much because it really evens out on both edges. So what happens is if it used to be that if you sewed one direction, then you have to go back and do the other to equal it out. But the digital dual feed foot just keeps feeding it fine, so you really don't have to worry about that too much. But if you see that it's not quite right, then go one and then back and forward. Yeah. So that's
okay.
Different fabrics are just there's no set rule. I'm sorry, but different fabrics are going to react differently.
Okay, that was my vote was for clothing. I do it one direction. If just quilting, I kind of mix it up. So I think we had the same answer. So I hope that helped you all. But now we're on to some fabulous lace today. I can't wait to see what you're working on.
All right. So it's going to be another talking about different threads this time and the different cotton, rayon, and polyester and how they sew out the lace. And so they all give you a different look and a different effect. So I want to show you that, and then we're going to go into some other things, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Aveneer and show you some things with it. Okay?
Oh, that's going to be so exciting. So I'm going to let you take it away, and I'll monitor all the questions below.
All right. Well, I'll watch my camera.
And while she's switching, I can see all of your comments up here. So we are live. I'll keep monitoring these, and I'll bug her in a little bit with any questions you have.
Okay, so we're going to start with this right here. This is a new design in the Aveneer. This is in the crocheted lace section. There is, I think, 7 designs in there, and there's 2 new ones. The others are on the Stellaire. But this is a new design there. So I have, when I do my lace designs, I have a sandwich here of stabilizers. And this is a little overkill. You don't need to do as much, but I'm comfortable with this. And I do it because when you're doing lace, every stitch on lace has to be locked in, or else if you've ever done something where you do your design and then you go to rinse it out and you're just left with a pile of thread, that wasn't really a freestanding lace pattern. It could look like it was, but they're not. All those stitches are not locked in. And I want to show you this one a little bit closer so you can see it. But what I do is I have a water-soluble mesh, and then I have a heavy film, and then another layer of water-soluble mesh. And I layer the three together, and this is a pretty heavy one. That would be like 2 layers of the lightweight. So I have that in there, and I do that because I know with as many stitches as you have with lace, the film can get perforated. And so I would rather have it sandwiched in between. So if it's perforated, it sandwiches in between 2 layers of water soluble. So does that make sense? That's just my thought. But usually they just tell you the mesh and the film. So whatever makes you happy is what you can do. So when you go to rinse it, you can either rinse it just a little bit, and then you end up with really stiff lace. So this is really stiff. As a matter of fact, you can probably see in here where I didn't get all of it rinsed out. It's a little shiny in there. So this is really stiff, and this would be good for ornaments and a lot of different other applications. I can't name them all right now. And then this one I rinsed really well, and you can see that it's a lot more flexible. So you can use it more for clothing because it's got a lot of flex to it. And this is cotton thread. So that's the next thing that we're going to talk about, is the different fibers in your thread. So this is the cotton, and I really do like the way the cotton looks. And when I do my lace, I wind the bobbin thread the same as the top thread, and I just use the regular bobbin case, the one with the green screw on it. I don't use the purple dot, and I use the same thread in the bobbin that I do in the top. So this here, this is a rayon thread, and rayon is a really nice look to it, but rayon is a kind of a weak fiber. It's not real strong, and sometimes the thread pops. When you have a polyester and it starts shredding, you're going to get some shredding, but the rayon just usually just breaks because it's so weak. It'll just break. It's not going to shred. It's just going to break. So, but I like the looks of the rayon in lace. It just is, I slow my speed down and I keep an eye on it. So if it's, sometimes those spools of rayon thread, they don't like to move. So sometimes you have to help it move so it won't pop. It just needs to keep moving, and it'll give you a really nice look in your lace. I just think that that looks beautiful. And then you have your polyester, which is really strong, and it looks really nice. I just like the looks of the rayon better. But this is your polyester, and it looks a little flat, not as much texture, but it's not bad. So you have your cotton, your rayon, and your polyester. And I left this one. This is actually a polyester, and I'm trying to bring it closer to you. And you can see how all of those stitches are locked. Every stitch is locked in there, so when you rinse it, it won't fall apart. So is there any questions or?
There is a quick question. We've got a question from Amanda. Are the crochet thread embroidery designs able to be used as freestanding lace? These ones that you're showing that are built in.
Yeah, these are freestanding. Yes. Yeah, freestanding just means they're just, you sew it, you rinse it, and it's not going to fall apart. It's all freestanding on its own.
Perfect. I don't see any other questions. Oh, hey, Joanne. Joanne wants to know, what weight is your thread, Cathy?
40. It's usually 30 or 40. I think all of these are 40 weight. So does everybody understand what the weight, how the weight works? The weight of thread, the higher the number, the thinner the thinner the thread. That is because it's a ratio between weight and length, where the weight is a constant. So you need more of a thin thread to weigh the same as a heavier thread. So you need 80 inches of a thin thread, the 80 inches of a thin thread to weigh the same as 30 inches of a thicker thread. So does that make sense?
That does make sense. I actually muted myself for a minute because I was watching, but there are a few more questions about weight, and Joanne wants to know, what about the cotton thread, Cathy? What weight are you using for that?
It was a 40.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And now they're playing a dirty trick on us. So usually we have weights of thread, but they're coming up with a text system now, and that's opposite of the weight system. So when you see text, TEX, that's a different system. So it's opposite of the weight system. So it's just to keep an eye out.
That is so interesting you're talking about that, because sometimes in the denim, like thread for sewing jeans and top stitching thread and things like that, it's TEX, which is absolutely opposite. So you have to have like a little chart to keep an eye. Which one's the heaviest? Which one's the lightest?
Right. And it's more the length is a constant. Yeah. So I don't want to get into all that, but just be leery, because text is different than the weight. So then I went ahead and I had some designs, lace designs that I had purchased, and I went ahead and I stitched them out just the way I did with the layering, and then I wet them, and then I put them on the candle and stuck them down with a couple of pins. And so when they dried in the shape of the candle. I can't get it off now, but anyway. So it's got the curve to it, so it's easier to get it on there. I just pinned it on. You could glue it on. You could put it on some other way. But that way it gives it the shape of the candle, and it will stay on there a lot better. So if you want to draw on there to dry it, to give it the shape of what you want it to be on. And this way you can take it off and use it on another candle if you want to use it later. So that's just shaping your lace for what you want it to be on. Now this is another design. This is a tea light holder, and this is a purchase design, and this is the one that's done with the little tabs. And you just I use the same kind of stabilizer. They don't think you need to use as much, but I still use my stabilizer the way I want, and it's just really, really cute. And it goes right over your tea light, and you have a little Valentine's cuteness. Okay. So now those are just the regular lace designs and the tea light design, but you can also, on the back here, I have a cut work design. So this is purchased. This is a cut work. So you go ahead and do the outline, and then put your fabric down, and then it will tell you where to cut, and then it's going to do all the lace part, the freestanding lace, and then this on the inside. So this is the cut work. It'll be like an applique, but you're going to just cut out here instead of you cut along the outside here. The first one I did, I cut the wrong section, but anyway, but it really does pretty. I think this would look great on the front of a card for Valentine's Day. I really like.
That's really, really beautiful. You have a couple questions now because you brought up some of those other designs, which, by the way, yes, they would make great wedding gifts. Great wedding gifts. That's what I do, is is do those lace and then spray it with a little water, stick it on. I'm so glad you showed that. So there's a couple questions. Teresa wants to know, where did you find the tea light design? Did she miss that?
I don't know if I can say. Just Google to see where they came from.
Okay, Teresa, you know how that works. It's not a brother product. So Google that one, or that's not a brother product either. Do an internet search, or I'll find out from Cathy, and I can put it in the video on angelawolf.com. So, and then one more question. Joanne wants to know, have you ever used good quality poly sewing thread, such as garment thread, for these designs? And Joanne, I'll tell you, I have, and it turned out beautiful. So now I'll hear what Cathy has to say.
Well, I would suspect the polyester is it sews a little flatter in the lace. It doesn't get as puffy. It's not as relaxed. It's just a little stiffer. So, but it works. It looks fine. If you don't know, you don't know. So it really does work fine. So yes, you can use it.
Perfect. All right, back to you.
All right, so this design here is it's a design in the machine, and I'm going to show it to you in just a second. And I used the no sew. It had some ribbon out here, and I used the no sew to get rid of the ribbon, and then I hooped my stabilizer, the same stabilizer that I had before, and then I put some organza. Well, this is silk organza, and I put that on top of it. So I had the water solubles all there, and then the silk organza was on top, because this is not a freestanding design. So I needed fabric to hold all the stitches together. So then after I rinsed it all out and trimmed it, I've got this nice little like applique, or just a little 3D to put on a pillow or whatever you want when you sew this one design, and then you can just add this to it. I kind of like that. I haven't put it on anything yet, but I just think it's a nice idea. If you have something that you want as a separate design, just sew it on organza and then trim around it. Okay.
That's really beautiful, Cathy. No, but that's really beautiful. And I'm just reading, everyone's saying they love this. This is such a great idea. I agree. Deborah came in a little bit late, and she missed, what kind of stabilizer for the knit are you using? So I'm not sure which one that one is, Deborah. Are you talking about the lace designs? I don't know.
All I have is the lace, and I use the water soluble and a heavy water soluble film. So I have the 3 layers. So I have a water soluble mesh. I have a heavy film, water soluble, and then another layer of water soluble mesh. And it is overkill, but that's just what I do.
Perfect. Thanks, Cathy.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go ahead and come into here, and we'll go to embroidery. And I'm going to come to my first section here, and I'm going to go to the botanicals. And I'm going to scroll down to design number 24 and go to set. So here is my design. So I do not want to sew the ribbons. I just want to sew that. That's the little design that I have here. So if you look, this is this right here. So I just don't want the ribbons. I may want the ribbons to sew on a pillow, and then just sort of add these to it, just sort of tack them on around it. I just think it's kind of fun to just get rid of some stitches and make your own little patches like. All right, so you come to edit, and when you come to edit, you have your no sew button. So I'm going to touch the no sew button, and this is the first stitch is the ribbon. So I'm going to touch no sew, Now my little no sew sign comes up onto that color. I'm going to go to the second color, and it's the other purple, and you can see that first one went away. And so I'm going to do that there. And now I am just left with what I want. I just want these 4 colors. So these are going to, so when I say okay, you're going to see that my red box isn't changing. It's just not going to sew that part. So the size of my design is going to stay the same size. It's just that I'm not going to be sewing the ribbon part. So what I want you to know is I'm going to go ahead and move this up here. And you can see that I have the 8x8 inch hoop there. And I'm going to duplicate this. And when I do that, I'm going to bring it right down here. So you can see I have the red box here. And when I do that, you can see that that red box is over part of this design. So I'm going to go ahead and go to embroidery. And I don't know if you've ever combined designs, and if they overlap, you can't do color sort. But so it looks like the designs are overlapping, but what I'm sewing isn't overlapping. So I can come to layout and I can color sort, and I can go back here and it's color sorted for me. So because the actual design that I'm sewing isn't overlapping, I can do the color sort with this, even though the outer parameters of the design does overlap. Now, because I'm using a fairly large hoop, I probably wouldn't color sort because when you color sort, it's going to sew this one and then the green, and it's going to go back and forth. And sometimes, and you have a bigger hoop like that, it's not stable enough, and by the time I get my last color done, it's going to be off. So I would probably just sew all of them at one time. Just do the one. I would go ahead and take the color sort off and go back and do it this way. But there are certain times where it could be in a 5x7 hoop, and there's no reason, no reason why you couldn't use a color sort there. So is there any questions with that?
No, but I do want to point out that while you're showing that no-sew feature, and some people might not know this, that it is available on other machines. So she is on the Aveneer. I saw some people asking what machine, but the no-sew feature is also on the Luminaire. Is it on the Stellaire? I think it's on the Stellaire, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah. Yes. Uh-oh, I lost you. I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Just think when you want to change a design a little bit, it's so simple to see what it looks like, and just by hitting the button, bring those colors back and forth. So if you have the Luminaire or the Stellaire or the Aveneer, that's where this is at. And I know a lot of people have different machines, so I wanted to point that out.
Yeah. So it's a really fun feature to play with and learn to use. And so let's should we play with picture play?
We should, because there's a few people that were asking about picture play. It's such a cool thing that it's a game changer, and there's so many fun things in there. So go ahead, Cathy.
All right. So I'm going to go to embroidery, and when you go to embroidery, we used to just have My Design Center, but now we have picture play. So My Design Center and picture play share the same folder. So I'm going to so in my Design Snap app, does everybody use My Design Snap app? I have here at the bottom, whoops, a picture. So if I push this, it's going to look for all the pictures in my device, and I'll find my rows, and I can push my rows and send it right over to the machine. So I've already done that, but that's how easy it is. Now you want to make sure that your machine and your device are on the same router, so it has the same numbers in it. And if you have two machines turned on that both can use the My Design Snap app, make sure that you come into the settings and you have the right machine number. So this, oops, let me go back. this machine number, I think let's just go here, is 712. So when I come into the settings there, I want to make sure that I send it to machine 712. If you have another machine that can accept that and it's on 2, it's going to ask you which machine to send it to. So just make sure that you send it to the right machine. It gets a little confusing if you don't. Okay, so that's my Design Snap app. So I'm going to come into Picture Play, and I sent it wirelessly. So this is a folder, and both my Design Center and Picture Play use this same folder. So I'm going to open the design, and I'm going to go to Set. And this takes a little time here. So now I've got my wireless mouse here. So if I come here and I hover over this, this says remove the background. This one is framing, and this one is fit to frame. So if you have your wireless mouse, you get to just hover over here, and it tells you exactly what you're doing, and it makes it so much easier. It just is really nice. I really like the wireless mouse. So we're going to just remove the background. So I'm going to touch this button right here, and then I'm going to touch this and preview. And it's going to take a little bit of time. So if you have any questions. Okay, well, there it is. So I just want to sew up the rows. So this is nice. I don't have to sew out the background if I don't want to. You can use the rows as embellishments or whatever you'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK. And I am not going to worry about the size or anything like that. It's 6 by 6. So I'm going to go to Next. And this first one is for the original. This is like photo stitch in PE 11. But I want to go to Pencil Sketch so that you can sort of see what happens here. So right down here, I'm going to leave this button on, and I'm going to go to Preview. So when that button is on like that, that means that I am using the settings from the style. So the style is going to change change it to what the style is. So we'll just wait for it to do its processing here. And it's going to end up being
this is one of the coolest features. And yes, Patty, she said you can use a wireless mouse with the Aveneer. Yes, you can. That's one of the coolest things. Definitely.
Yes. So here you are. And I think it's really nice. But if I want the original red, if I think, well, I really want the original red, I'm going to turn that off. And I'm going to preview again and wait for it to process. So you have where you can use the colors and all of the style, or you can use the style features and your own colors, the colors of the picture, or you can send in your own custom colors. So if I want those colors totally different, I can, on a USB stick, bring in my custom color palette, and there's the red. But that's it, the style of the sketch, but it's the red colors. I think it's amazing. And so
absolutely beautiful. I'm just reading all the comments. Yeah, it's pretty much a wowzer. It's like having an app for social media right there in your machine.
So that's the pencil sketch. And like I said, the custom is any of your colors. You just bring it in by a USB stick, and you can have this, oh, I don't know, oranges, yellows, purples, or just totally obnoxious, whatever you'd like. All right. So should we try another style?
Sure, why not?
We'll put it back here, and we'll try, let's try the stained glass. So I keep wanting to push that, but you don't. You push preview. You scroll to the style and then you push preview. And like I said, they're all 15 colors, so it's a layer of 15 colors. That's the default, but you can add colors or you can take colors away. So you still have your choice, like Brother always gives you a choice so that you can always do what you would like. So this is the stained glass. And you can see the stained glass has a little more black around it to sort of accentuate the little sections. And so we'll go ahead and turn that off and preview it and see what we get with our reds. So you have 10 of the styles, and then you have the original. So you have a lot of things to play with. And what's wonderful about this is that you can just keep going through until you find something that just makes you smile and happy. There's just so many choices. So if one doesn't work, another one will. Isn't that gorgeous? So you can see some of the black around there.
That really is so, that's a game changer, especially because it's built in. It's so simple to use. I love that Brother just keeps building on the technology that they already have, as far as being able to use the My Design Snap app and things like that, that at first people weren't really used to using. And now I see Julie saying she uses the Stitch Monitor app. Yeah, I think we forget about some of those things. And once you start using them, it's hard to go back from using them. So this is great.
All right. So another one nice feature that I have found when I was making things, doing all the laces, lace is going to use a lot of bobbin thread. And now our bobbin winder is reconstructed here, and it winds 10% more thread on your bobbin. So you're going to get more bobbin thread on your bobbin. So that's really nice. It don't have to change bobbins as often.
That's a game changer. So here's a question for you, and this was asked just the other day. And if anyone could answer this, it'd be you. So we were using, a few other people were using, I didn't have any issues, but using pre-wound bobbins. And they were the plastic ones. And the bobbin thread kept popping up through the top. And usually when I hear about stuff like that, I always tell everyone to rewind their bobbins, but it was a pre-wound bobbin. Any suggestions on that?
Okay, so the bobbin thread popping to the top. Oh,
yeah, the bobbin kept.
Okay, so that's where the purple dot bobbin case comes into play, because the green, the bobbin cases get very confusing, and I have people disagree with me, but this is how I see it. This is how it works for me. I always use the green screwed bobbin. Do you need me to come back or just stay here? Anyway, I always use the green screw bobbin because it's calibrated for sewing and for embroidery if you use the Brother 60 weight bobbin thread or something close to it, something that's, unless you have, and then if you have a standalone machine, I don't know if you know or not, but the standalone embroidery machines use a 90 weight bobbin thread. So if you have an XE, a Stellar XE, you're going to use 90 weight bobbin thread. And that bobbin is set, so you don't have to worry about that. So if your bobbin thread is coming to the top, that means that it's just too loose. It's just feeding it too much bobbin thread. So you're going to get your purple dotted bobbin case and put your bobbin in there and put it through the tensions on the bobbin case and just hold it in your hand and tighten that screw just a little bit and then pull the bobbin until you feel the resistance that you feel with the regular bobbin. And so when you feel that resistance, then you know that you've got the tension adjusted right.
We just need a full tutorial on that one of these times when you come on, Cathy, because I think so many people get confused. A lot of times I've had people say, why do I have two bobbin cases in my box anyways? And you just explained it very well. One has a purple dot, one has a green dot, but they're both different in different ways. I know I've seen Joanne do bobbin work with one of them. So this is a tutorial on its own, but that's very informational.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because the one with the green is set. It's set. The tension is set, and so you don't have to adjust it. You shouldn't adjust it. It's set. That screw shouldn't move. And so they set it at the factory for sewing and embroidery if you're using a bobbin weight thread that is brother bobbin weight thread or something very similar. So a lot of bobbin thread is not the same. So some of it's a little fuzzy, some of it's a little too real, real slick. And I'm thinking the ones that come to the top may just be real slick and just moves a lot. And so the purple dotted one is adjustable. So that's where you can adjust your screw. So if you need it to flow less, you're tightening it. If you want to do bobbin work, you're going to loosen it so that thick thread can flow. Usually when I do bobbin work, sometimes if I use something thick, I just bypass the bobbin and adjust my top tension to sort of control it a little bit.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And yeah, I'm with you, Joanne. The Brother brand for Brother is a great option if you're going to do the pre-wound bobbins.
Yes, exactly.
All right, back to you.
Well, I'm not sure where to go next.
I see what I'm doing. I Spy on your machine, and if anyone's here that wants to see anything on the Aveneer, we haven't really showed it much on the live shows. I see something on your machine that's sitting there, the new foot that everybody is ranting and raving about. So I Spy.
Yes, I left it up here. This is our stitch regulator foot, and you have 3 toes for this. You have the open toe and the echo and the regular. And to take the foot off, there's a little button back here that you push, and the foot just comes off if you take your finger off of it. And so, and then this is like your digital dual feed foot. It plugs in, and once you have it plugged in on the screen, it will come up all the different stitches that you can do with it. Did you want me to I'll need to go get some fabric if you want me to demo it, but I don't know if I can or not because I don't have my other camera on.
No, don't worry. Just to show them it, and then you're coming on here in a couple weeks anyway. Maybe you could show it then.
Yeah. So it is amazing. It's a lot of fun. And it just, I don't know if you understand what a stitch regulator does, but what it does is when you do free motion, when you're moving your hands, you have to keep the speed of the machine and your hands moving at a certain rate, or else you'll get long stitches or short stitches, depending on how you're going. But with a stitch regulator, you set your stitch length, and because of the little light down here, it knows how fast or how slow you move, so it will slow the machine down or speed the machine up to go with the flow of your hands, and so you'll get the stitch length that you want. And that's what's so amazing about a stitch regulator. So with the stitch regulator, when you use your foot control, we keep thinking of our foot control as speed. When you're using the stitch regulator, your foot control is an on and off button. It's not your speed control. It doesn't do anything but turn the machine on and off.
Perfect. You're actually answering their questions as you're talking. Teresa says she asked a question, but you already answered it. You're good.
Okay. So any other questions?
Nope. Everybody says they love the information. The machine is beautiful. Do you want to show that projector before you move out of there?
Okay, let me I don't know if I have some fabric down here to show.
If you don't have the camera up, it's okay because you're coming on again. So, you know me, I just love to show everything.
Exactly. Well, there's so much to show on it. Let's go home here. And when you come to embroidery, we'll come into here. So you got all these great stitches. We'll have to do some edge to edge. So let's go to, see if we can find food. And we'll pick the snow cone or the ice cream cone and go to set. And can they see the projection? And so I can, there's a projection, and say okay. And then once it projects down, oh, I have to put on a frame. I'm sorry.
I was just thinking, I was like, I think you have to put a hoop on. So we're making Cathy rearrange her entire studio to show us this.
Well, if you take me down, I'll go ahead and go get a frame if you want, and some fabric. Okay.
Were you guys trying to guess what I was saying? I keep muting myself so there's no echo from the other end. Sorry about that. Did anybody hear me? No. So what I was saying is while she goes and grabs a hoop, the new projection for this is for the Aveneer is 5x8, which if you're embroidering something in a 5x7 hoop, the entire hoop is going to show your design. It's amazing. So if you've ever worried about placement, are you putting this in the right spot, any of that stuff, well, guess what? You don't have to worry about it. It shows you right there. So I'm going to bring Cathy back up. I think I see her down here. So sorry about the muting. I just didn't want to interrupt Cathy's presentation. So I see you all. Very good. Practicing lip reading. Thanks, Teresa. Yeah. She's not quite ready. I can see her down there. So she's just putting in her hoop right now. Thanks, brother. You never know what's going to happen here. By the way, while I'm scrolling here, you can see you can visit your brother dealer for those pre-wound bobbins, by the way. But also, if you're looking for the Aveneer, that's where you can go play on it. So this is a lot of fun. So I think Cathy's just about up, almost. I think so. All right, we'll bring her back. And again, drop your questions below. There you go, Cathy.
There we go. So now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take this box and bring it down. And there we go. And you can see, can you see the, you can't really see the big projection or anything.
No, but we can see, they can at least see how large it is in the hoop. We can see that.
Yeah, so it's, and so the projector, now this is something that we need to kind of get used to. The projector is here. So the machine is longer this way. So our thread cutter is where it's always been because you need it there to get the right length of your thread when you cut it. So it takes a little bit. We're so used to going to the end of the machine to cut our thread, and you can't do that now because the thread cutter is right in here. So if you take your thread, and I'm kind of, I don't think you can. If you take your thread, I don't know if I could show or not without my big hands in the way, and take it straight back. If it's straight back, and then bring it around, it should cut it, but it's just a new learning curve because the cutter is right up here. So if I'm sitting in front of it, I can do it, but off to the side, I don't do that too well.
I know,
But
it's
anyway,
such a different.
Just remember cutter is in here.
Yeah, and it's such a different place when we're so used to just cutting our thread in one area. So once you get the hang of it, it's just like a little different angle. That's all.
Yeah, just take your time, and if you come from here straight back and then around to the side, it usually cuts it just fine. It's just a little bit of a learning curve. as you curve the thread around. But it really does that projection, because it's right over here now, just gives you this large area, which is really nice. So you have it's just so many wonderful things in there. So you can change the background color of your projection if you want. So if you can change it with your pen, and on your pen, we used to have 2 pins, but now you have this end is for your width and length of your stitches and all your settings for your projection. And this end, when you take this off, is the thin one. So it's all in one now, so you don't have to have 2. And they gave you a really nice little space right up here that just sets right in there.
I love that spot for the stylus, because I am notorious for showing something and then walking around with the stylus. So I have trained myself to put it right up there to make sure I don't lose it, because I will be crying if I do.
Yes. So we were, so is there any questions about the lace? We kind of went over that fairly quickly, but I guess there's not a whole lot to talk about with the lace.
No, I think we're all good. If you want to come back, we appreciate that. You want to lift those up one more time, go ahead and show those, because some people popped in a little bit late. They're just beautiful.
Yeah, you just have to remember that different threads are going to get you. One thread doesn't work.
Yeah, it really makes a difference. And I saw some people asking about when you were showing how you would wrap that around the candles. That's one of my favorite things to do for a quick gift, because you can embroider something up. You can embroider, a lot of times I'll do a monogram and just spray the back of it with a little bit of water and stick it on the candle, and they're good to go. And then they can take it off the candle and save it. So it's a great memento.
Right, yes. So I really like that. When you form it on there, it just dried that way, so it makes it really nice. All right, well, I will come back.
All right, well, she's switching cameras. Do you guys have any questions for her? Cathy's a wealth of knowledge. We love it when she's on here because she shows so much. And I know she's really excited to have that Aveneer in her studio, because there's a lot to do on there, right?
Yeah, yesterday was the first day that I really got to work with it, so I was really excited.
Oh gosh, I love it. So
all kinds of lace heart, a lot of lace with it, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Teresa wants a lesson on cutaway lace on shirts. Ooh, that'd be fun, Teresa. That'd be beautiful.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna fill you up, Cathy, with ideas for the next show. Cathy, you know any good winning lottery numbers?
If I did, I'd use them.
For sure. Oh my gosh. Yeah, everybody's saying, I have the Aveneer, and some people are picking theirs up this week. So don't forget, I just want to remind you, if you're in the USA, register your Aveneer on Brother's site. They will send you an email back with an activation code, and you can get into the masterclass. Right now, there are 14 chapters with over 80 videos, 5 projects. But guess what? That means you're getting more every week until it's all full, because there's still a few features that are not quite fully active. But as soon as it is, they'll be in there. So right now, she just showed you how to use picture play, but there's so much more. I'm watching Patty saying she had the still air for 4 years and still doesn't know everything. Don't feel bad, Patty. Don't feel bad. I'm pretty sure you're not the only one.
Well, there's just so much. I don't know if I'll ever know everything that's on it. But I do want to tell people who are getting the Aveneer is to have a little patience and press and let the machine do its work before you press a button again. It's like our computers. So if you open a page and it doesn't open immediately, we click it again and click it again, and it doesn't like that. So just click and let it do its work, and then you can do it again. So I was just at a show this last weekend, and I had a design up on the Aveneer that had 58 thread changes. So I was trying to get I would do about 10 of them, and then I'd have to do a demo. And I'd go back. And so I would just had to make sure that every time I went forward one, that it went forward before I touched it again. So I just have had great luck with the machine. I just think it's, well, the machine just is wonderful. It really is. Very nice.
It is really a game changer. Just everything that we already had and then some. So someone said, can you still use magnetic hoops with this machine? Of course you can. And actually, yeah, and there's the new stand that goes behind the machine that will stabilize your hoops so much better than before. I just call it the little removable table, but it's
yeah, we have that 16 by 11, 16 and I'm sorry, 18 and a quarter by 11 and 5/8 inch hoop. So it did need a little stabilization because it would, our other hoop got a little wobbly, but this one is a little bit bigger than that. And so that table back there just makes it so nice. It just stabilizes it and keeps it nice and flat. And I don't know if you've ever had, when you were doing edge-to-edge quilting, and it told you to change to a larger hoop, and you were using the largest hoop there was. And that's because of the weight of the quilt was sort of bending that arm. And if you look at the arm on this machine, it's just nice and heavy. So the sensor for our hoop is in the little slide area there. So when your quilt sort of tilts that arm down, it can't read your hoop anymore. And so that's what was happening. It thought you had a different hoop on because it wasn't reading your hoop like it should. So
that's interesting.
That's right. But otherwise, you just need to this large arm is just fantastic because they have the X and Y axis in the arm and the unit. So it's amazing.
Yeah, and Patty, the hoop is different. It has opening at each end for the large hoop. I don't know what I'm sure a technical name for the opening. It is different.
Right.
And then
you have when you put the hoop in, the inner hoop, you have to sort of nosedive into the top of the hoop because there's a little lip up there, and you have to make sure that you get under that lip. That's nosedive is something that Alexis taught me. She says you need to nosedive into there.
Absolutely. Oh, Jean has the Stellaire, and I'm so glad that you enjoyed the masterclass. So I would love to know, speaking of masterclasses, you know that Cathy over here, myself, and the other Cathy, Cathy Stipe, did a fabulous masterclass for the airflow serger. And what the perfect match to go with your sewing machine except for the airflow. And there's 14 lessons in there that show you how to use everything. That was one of my most fun summers, was doing that class with you too. And again, same thing. Just register your machine on Brother's site and you have access to that master class too. I'm a visual learner, so for me, videos really help when you can stop and go. And like your videos here on the live shows, Cathy, I know a lot of people will go back and replay them, take notes, because there's so much information, but we try to give you all we can in an hour.
Well, I kind of go so fast. I kind of just get on through it. But, I need to try to slow down.
I think you're good. Everybody loves it. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Cathy, this has been such a wonderful show. So appreciate you being on here. I'm going to drop down. There's brothersews.com in case you need their website. I have angelawolf.com on there because if you're trying to find who's coming on the shows, go to the events page and it shows you all the shows. And if you have a favorite that you're trying to see when they come back on, that's where you can check it out. And you're coming back on here in just a few weeks, I believe.
End of March.
I know. What's scary is we're already in almost the middle of February. Not really, but February. It goes by so fast.
It is. It just flies by.
So, did anybody watch the groundhog? I think it says it's going to be cold for like another 6 weeks. So my mom sent me a little a funny cartoon that says Puxatony Phil, I can never say his name right. His ex-wife says he's always been a compulsive liar. So that is your joke for the day, everyone. I love seeing you all. And be sure to leave your questions. We always come back and watch them. And until next time, I'm going to wish you happy sewing. Any last minute thoughts, Cathy?
No, just happiness to everybody.
Sounds awesome. All right, everyone. I'm going to give you a quick preview of the fonts. And until next time, happy sewing.